Hi everyone, and welcome to this new vlog / question and answer session for MartialBody. So these videos, which I'm going to try and do every month, are going to be a catch up on the different things that are going on with the MartialBody system at the moment. Some training footage, some lessons and new techniques, as well as an opportunity to answer some of the questions that you guys have on the MartialBody method and my approach to different subjects. So these past few months have been a bit of a tough time for us. The MartialBody website got deleted from our servers, and so did our backups. So everything was lost. All of the articles, the whole website, everything was lost apart from the training site, which is a completely separate website. Luckily, all of that was untouched and that carried on without issue. But it meant that all of my articles for the last 4 or 5 years now have been lost. We managed to recover almost all of them, and we've worked very hard to build the website from scratch and get those articles back in. So if you have a look at the MartialBody website now, it's a completely new website, and there's a lot of videos on there and a lot of new information. So we've restructured it, made sure that it's in line with the aims and objectives of the system, and informs you exactly what the system's all about. The articles are in the website now, but they're not live yet. We've just got to add a few images to those that are missing, and then they'll all be back. So been a tough couple of months getting all of that sorted. As well, in my day job, we lost all of our websites for the company in that as well. So we've been extraordinarily busy with all of that stuff. But it's all looking up now for 2021, and hopefully I'll be back in a position where I can start posting articles again. So as I look forward into 2021, I will be producing the remainder of the phase 2 courses for the 6 MartialBodies, and that will represent the end of the online training for the 6 bodies. That will be all of the information that I'm going to release, and that will be happening over the course of 2021. So keep an eye out for all of those new courses. And the next one to be released, which is being released today, in fact, to the early bird list, is the Connected Body Phase 2 course. So if you have previously purchased the Connected Body foundations, please check your email. There will be a early bird discount code there for you where you can get 25% off. Connected Body Foundations was a really popular course, and Connected Body Phase 2 is an advancement of all of those concepts. I'm really happy with the way that this course turned out, so do check it out, and I'm sure you're going to get a huge amount out of it. So the other thing that we will be doing in these videos is answering a few of your questions. And I've got a couple of really good questions this month. There are a couple more lined up for next month, but if you would like to ask any questions, send them to me on email, coach@martialbody.com, and I will put them into the list and I will get those answered for you in these videos. So the first question we have this month is all about opening the joints, and the question is around what does it actually mean to open the joints and how do we do it? And actually Connected Body Phase 2 does address this. So if you're interested, jump on that course and take a look. But we can think of opening the joints in a number of ways. There are a few different ways that it is described in traditional internal martial arts, and the way that I like to describe it for MartialBody. There is overlap there, of course, but if you imagine the simple way to imagine mechanically opening the joints is simply hanging from a pull-up bar. What will happen is the joints will start to pull and open. The connective tissues that are around the joint will pull taut and your joints will open. This is something that physicians use to treat shoulder injuries especially. They've had great success with hanging from bars and things like that. Now, when it comes to solo body method and solo body work training, we actually try to do exactly the same sort of thing, but without the need to hang off something. And the way that we approach that is by creating what I call an anchor point and a point of pulling. And that means that what we can do, if I take my arm as an example, I can hold my arm in position and imagine that my fingers are anchored to something. And then I pull the joint down from the anchor point away from the anchor point. And what I'll feel immediately is that there is a stretch in all of this tissue, and my wrist joint will feel like it's opening. Now then I can do the same. I can pull my shoulder away from my elbow joint, holding the elbow joint in place. And again, I'll feel that the elbow joint opens up because now it's pulling away from here, and then my shoulder's pulling away from there. And we can go all the way through the body doing this. And what you'll feel when you start to be able to do this with clarity and precision is that the joints feel like they're opening up. So this is one way that we can start the process of opening the joints. Now, one thing that will impede that is if we have habitual tension. So let's say in the same scenario, I've got a very tight forearm. And as I try to pull my elbow down, nothing is happening at the level of the wrist. So this is true for many, many people. And the way that we resolve that is with heavy body training, where we are trying to do arm swings, where we're trying to do breath-led release and try and resolve that tension in the body. So opening the joints is a factor in many of the different sectors of the MartialBody method. And it really does create this situation where the joints are healthy and they're able to move with fluidity and precision. Very useful for the spiral body and the fluid body attributes. So these are a couple of ideas that help us to get that same sort of sensation as if we were hanging off something. And over time, our joints will become conditioned to hold that state. Now, of course, sometimes we do want to tense, or we do want to contract, and especially when we're doing martial arts. And in that situation, the joint will close, but that's fine because our force is coming towards us rather than away. So opening the joints is related to this idea of point of anchor, point of pulling, and the release of habitual tension around the joint on the muscles that cause the joint to close. And then you will feel this release of the joint, the strengthening of the connective tissues around the joint, and you will get a much more clean movement, less stop-start, much more circular, and you will be able to express power in a more advantageous way. So this is opening the joints. I hope that answered your question to some degree. There is a lot more nuance, of course, but that should be good to start with. So the next question that I have, and this is one that crops up quite a bit actually, is related to weight training and martial body training, and how compatible the two ideas are. Well, first let me say that there is no better method. Either method has its own place, and for certain athletes, strength training is a vital part of training. If you want to be a strong man, you have to lift heavy things. And for other athletes, then MartialBody might be a better approach. So the first thing to say is neither is better. They both have their own pluses and minuses. And how compatible are they? Well, it really does depend what you mean by strength training. Do you mean isolation training for a bodybuilding contest? Then probably not very compatible, because that segments the body that we are trying to connect together. Or do you mean things like Olympic lifting and strongman work? And then there is more compatibility. Again, there's still a little bit of friction in certain areas. Things like heavy body may be diminished by those sorts of training methods, but it's not to say that they can't be integrated together. So if you're interested in strength training and still want to gain the benefits of martial body training, then one thing that you can do is use MartialBody as a supplementary way to mitigate some of the effects of strength training. So for instance, if you train deadlifts and you are working on your deadlift and you do a whole session, afterwards you may look at doing some heavy body work and some connected body work. And this may enable you to release some of the tension that you created during that workout. It may help you with a bit with recovery and things like that. Now, similarly, on the flip side, if you are mainly focused on martial body work and you're doing a lot of connection, a lot of heavy body, a lot of spiral body, all of these things, then you may want to actually add in a little bit of weights work if you want to add a bit of skeletal muscle and build some muscle up. There is plenty of evidence out there, especially as we age, that skeletal muscle and muscle mass in general is very important for maintaining health. So we shouldn't shun weight training. It has its place. I still do it from time to time, and it is something that we can integrate into our martial body training, or we can integrate our martial body training into our strength work. It depends where our focus is. Now, what I would say is, if you stick to large lifts and using the whole body, things like kettlebells, stuff like that, then there's no reason that that can't be integrated or harmonized with the work that you do in martial body. You just have to understand the trade-offs, and if you're happy with them, then no problem. So that's the 2 questions for this month. If you have any more questions, do reach out, coach@martialbody.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. You can ask me about anything related to martial body, physical training in general, or martial arts. I'd be more than happy to give my opinion on any of those things. As many of you will know, I'm an active competitor in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a coach, and I have experience in personal training, lots of different things. So any sort of subject related to this, I'd be more than happy to give you my thoughts on it. And with that said, the only thing left for me to say is thank you so much for the support throughout 2020. It's been a very difficult year for many of us, and I know for many of you out there, it's been extremely difficult. I hope that martial body training, these solo training stuff that we do, actually helps you get through a little bit, gives you something to train, gives you something to work on while those gyms and dojos that we love so much are all closed. Here's to a much better 2021. Keep an eye out for Connected Body Phase 2, and I wish you all the best. I will see you next month.